Hey everyone, it's Patchman Bogat again. I thought that it was just quite advantageous for me, very advantageous to make this video. See, the preface of this video in this playlist is called "Why Do Daemons Like to Punish Us?" That's a good question, and the reason being is that we may feel that when we ask such a question, "Why do daemons punish us?" we are obviously reacting, not responding, but reacting to that dark mirror that the daemon has put in front of us. And it happens to me, it happens to those who are adept in the left hand path, and it happens to just anyone who actually dabbles within the black magic or witchcraft. But you know what's so interesting? Considering that people ask that question, why do daemons punish us? I mean, I can see why they have such a bad rep. I could even understand why Christians see them as that way. Or even those who are just dabbling and then they end up just leaving the left hand path because they feel that the daemons are punishing them. But in actuality, you're not being punished, you're being taught something. It's just that they do things by dark methods. And no, we're not talking about dark methods such as Beelzebub wants you to feed him on your altar Justin Bieber's firstborn child or your dog, your cat. That's not what we're talking about. We're actually talking about a type of darkness where I allude to it before. That having that black mirror in front of you, um, it's going to actually strengthen you. It's going to make you feel as if what is done to you on a subconscious level has to be brought up to the surface and to be recognized. And that's very important because we have so many things in our childhood, our experiences that trigger certain things. That's what they call emotional triggers. Have you ever wondered why a woman would feel so frightened when she sees a man with a tank top on, or a wife beater? Well, it's emotional trigger, something in that not self, but in the subconscious, deep within. She just had a bad reaction way back when, and she just haven't really confronted at that particular time when it happened, or even at that moment when she sees this man who's arbitrarily walking around the place with the tank top on. It's an irrational fear, in other words. He's not doing anything directly to hurt her. Probably smiled and said, "Good day, ma'am," and went about his business, but she's freaked out, you know? Well, it goes back to the point. The subconscious has a way of hiding and burying all of our fears. Have you ever wondered why you're, afraid to drive? Maybe in your recent or even childhood, you got hit by a car. You saw someone who got hit by a car, and it just, changed your perspective, your perception of reality. So now here you are currently. You just don't ever want to drive. You just, regardless of the line of logic that people have, they present it to you. You just you're not with it. You're not with it. Hashtag leave me alone. Nope. You know what I mean? And then that's it. But what I've learned about with the daemons, they take that and they bring it to the forefront, and that's what freaks people out. Just think about what we're discussing. Think about the line of reasoning. Think about that woman again that looks at an individual that's like that. It's not really her fault. No one's at fault. It's not the daemon's fault because they're not trying to scare you in a sense of I have nothing better to do, so let me just spook you. No, but they're trying to teach you something. They're trying to teach you. I repeat that word. But it does come off sadistic and scary, terrifying, because you could just be enjoying your day, and that daemon wants to pick that particular day of all days to teach you something. But what they really are doing is just have you confront your fears so that you could actually move on in life. Have you noticed, like, when you work with a daemon and you ask for prosperity, perhaps a love spell, and daemons they would tend to do things like the subject of what we're talking about, using dark methods to basically get you to change. And here you are, you're feeling frightened and you don't know what to do, and now you're on some social media or even on my channel and you're like, I followed your advice, Spencer, and now they end up beating me up and my ass got kicked and blah blah blah. You're just going on and on about it, because the truth of the matter is, a lot of people, and I say this out of love, a lot of people can't handle it, because all it is, and I repeat, it's not to scare you in a morbid way, but to put that motivation, that stimulus within you to pay attention to something that needs to be uprooted, or you need to acknowledge it. Because if you continue on in life, how are you going to basically get that manifestation into reality to actually experience it if you don't unplug those those clogs within your chakras? It's like there's something in your life that needs to change. It needs to be removed in order for you to move closer and closer and closer until you finally get what you've asked for. I said this once, I'll say it again. When I lost my job, it was Satan's time to go, you know what? It's time to move you even closer to your manifestation. You know who was the cause of my job being taken away from me? Satan. In a sense where he told me that it had to happen to push me closer to my manifestation. Because if you do a magic spell such as prosperity, all Satan did was remove the block. Remember what I just mentioned? He just moved the block. Either it's within your chakras, or it's within your life, or perhaps it's the people you speak to, perhaps it's the situation, perhaps it's where you live, whatever. All they're going to do is that they're going to remove it. But it just seems as if, because it's unescapable, it's going to be done in a dark manner. And that dark manner, as I'm explaining it, is going to be something that we would normally just react, not respond. Because when Satan told me that he was aligning me with my manifestation by having me let go of the job, I didn't react. I responded. Response is of a higher tier of reaction, because with response, I took the time to pay attention to what he said, assess the situation, and flood my mind with all these previous teachings that he taught me, other mentors taught me about manifestation. And you know what? He was absolutely correct about it. Until this day, I could never stop thanking Satan. Hence, I'm on YouTube, giving him all the publicity that he needs, that he deserves, because of the things that he has done for me. And it's not because he has punished me. No, it's because he has taught me. And that's the big difference between people who could handle it and people who cannot. People who handle it, they think of it only on a surface level, and then they end up leaving. That's really me getting to the point. But my second point is this. I don't care if you're the individual who actually felt and you said to yourself out loud, you even approached the daemon that you wanted to quit. You wanted to give up. You just said, you know what? I'm not having it. Nope. You know what I mean? But I give that individual this. They say all that. They're upset at the displeasure of what the demon had, responded to them in that dark manner. But they chose to stay and they chose to understand, why things had happened. Because it happened to me. That's why I'm teaching it to you. Because when I didn't understand, I went right back to the source. You said X, Y, Z, and how come that didn't happen? Satan, in his due time, which was not a long time, never is a very lengthy time, giving me an answer. I was satisfied. It was always agreeable. It was always something that, he wasn't trying to, pet me to make me feel less angry. He didn't need to be clever. He just said exactly what had to been, done at that particular time, and it happened. And I was able to benefit from that. And that's why I'm saying that when people ask the question, why do daemons punish me? I repeat, they're not punishing you, they're teaching you. It's just that that way of thinking, that mentality, you need to like convert whatever way of thinking that you are so used to, that you're comfortable with, because at times you need to get out of that comfort zone to be discomforted, and then to be uncomfortable even, and then you could learn something new. Because in order for me to, and it sounds paradoxical but it works, in order for me to know that I am going to receive my manifestation, throughout years Satan had indirectly and directly told me throughout the many years that I wasn't going to receive it. So in other words, he misdirected me. I hit a wall, it hurt, I got back up, I asked a question, and then he's given it. And every single time I misunderstood. It wasn't so much like, haha, I lied because I had nothing else better to do. Guess what? The Christian God is right. Woohoo. No. That's silly. It's just like, that doesn't make sense for them to punish you and, surprise, I'm the big evil that everyone talks about. That, no. that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't gain anything out of that. It's no. It's more like, it's done with expressed purpose. So if you feel you're being punished, you feel you did something wrong, think of it this way. When you choose to remain on the left hand path and you choose to do your workings with Satan or any of the Goetia, keep in mind that obviously there's success and failure, but more so, you think of it this way: you either learn or you succeed. I repeat, you either learn or you succeed. So when you get into the habit of you either learn or succeed, even if you didn't get what you want, you was met with some resistance, you're going to be that individual that hopefully in a good reasonable amount of time you're able to get the point and know that it's not an attack on you, but it's a teaching point. And if it's a teaching point, you have to take it as is. By me saying all this, I don't want you to think that if you've been through, let's say, the mill with this particular demon, like I have with Satan, and you're in tears, you're hurt, obviously, because it hurts that much, and you're just saying to yourself, like, when is it going to end? If it's going to ever end. Do know this: there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just that if you keep in mind whatever it is that you're doing with that particular daemon, they're doing it for a reason. If it's a really big manifestation, like the change of your environment, it's going to take much longer because it's obviously a very big manifestation. If it's smaller, it's going to take less amount of time, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to work for it. It's just so many various ways that we could approach this. But do know that daemons do not punish. It doesn't do them any good with the rap sheet that they have. You know what I mean? It just, no. So keep that in mind, and next time that it happens, try to take your emotions out of it. That's what helps me. Take your emotions out of it. Don't look at it in an emotional way. It's like when I read a comment, right, and it's negative, I try not to read the comment through the eyes of emotion. So as I'm reading it, I don't take it that way, or I try not to. So what I end up doing is that I look at that type of information, and then I take it as structure criticism. And even if it's something that I don't necessarily find to be correct, I always want to do my part in trying to fix the issue the best way I know how, because that's how you should also be too. Because don't think that you have to take abuse as well. And that's also what Satan helped me to appreciate. You don't have to take abuse, because if you see it as, first of all, that the daemon is abusing you, then you know what? If Satanism, the left hand path, whatever you want to call it, is not for you, then I would advise you to please try it some other place, because usually, and this is just from my experience, one, people leave because of the response the daemon is giving them. Two, lack of information. Three, and if you really think about it, it's because they just can't handle it. Because we are all conditioned as human creatures to be these creatures of comfort. We just must be comforted at all times. And when something bad happens, we automatically just put our tails between our legs and we run. I've done it. I was accused of it, you know, in times past, not within the left hand path, but in other situations, you know. And even when I was, and you know, that's a good example. Just came into my mind when I was a Christian, you know, when I basically was accused of that, you know, and I swallowed that because you know why? The individuals were right. And I had to learn at that time, just like I'm saying now, to just run away without asking the right questions, without first analyzing it in a deeper way, then you miss out. That's why I said I give credit to the person that's like on bloody knees like myself and you're just crying and you're hurt because it hurts. You said one thing and the opposite happened. So obviously now you want answers and you are entitled to it. So ask away. Okay? So keep in mind too that as you're listening to this video, don't think also that if you're in the business of just receiving stuff from the daemons, then this isn't for you as well. Because that's another thing that I would think would be one of the misconceptions, the wrong idea that people have about Satan and the daemons. You see, they feel that it's always, and it's, you know, it's just about, how can I put this? People always view it as the daemon giving them something, like there's some genie or something, right? Or, you know, something of that nature. And when they don't get it, they leave. And it's one of those things where it's like, if the person approached the daemon the correct way, and what I mean by that is it wasn't so much about the mentality of receiving something, it's about me, but the mentality was about learning. It was about forming a relationship and really getting to know their nature. Then the likelihood of them getting a response that's very negative, you would fall underneath the category and hopefully under the category of the individual that, again, you feel hurt by what you've been through, but you're willing to stay for the simple fact that you know there's something much more to it. Because the daemon showed him or herself in such a way where they were reliable, they were able to give you answers that work, and all of a sudden this didn't happen. Does that absolutely make them, one, a liar, two, someone you must not trust, three, you know, this person did in fact, or this daemon did in fact punish you? Because you're probably thinking the way I did nothing wrong. I would never do that to you. I wouldn't do that to a friend. Then why all of a sudden this? Well, it's because their nature, it's dark, but think of it this way. It's tough love. It's the best way you could see it. You know, there are particular daemons that are listed in grimoires that you have to look at their nature. You have to see who resonates with you. Because sometimes, too, you just have occasions where the particular daemon, you and the daemon's energy just doesn't mix. You know, you bump heads too much. It's like when me and Satan bump heads. It's not because our energies don't mix. It's because of what we're talking about by this video alone. It's just, I just did not like the response. He could have did it any other way. And so now we bump heads. But at least I'm mature enough in a spiritual sense where I've done the research. And I know who Satan is as, you know, in a one-on-one basis where I know he's teaching me. So it's like half the battle. And it's most likely half the battle with you too if you do the same thing. So please keep that in mind and don't try to react, meaning just, you know, react in such a way where, okay, because the person did this and then you end up running away. Try to respond with it. Think about why they did that. Think about what you've asked for. Was it short term? Was it long term? Was it really appropriate? You know, ask yourself that question. And when you do so, you get yourself the answer. Thanks, guys.